Good evening, everybody. We had our Diwali break last week, and we didn't, met last week because of Diwali holiday in India. Today's plan, as of now, is the questions that were already submitted, and if time permits, we'll surely go through. If anyone who's attending this meeting have any questions. So before we start, and let me see where my control is. Yeah. Let's see what's happening new in the community, where you should kind of focus. What are things that are, recently released, or uh, what's next in terms of learnings. So the first thing is we all know Business Central 17.1 is actually available starting last week, and I consider that as actually Business Central 17 because all the features that are part of Business Central 17 were available on cumulative update 1, which is 17.1. It's available as a Docker download. It's, if you're still trying to install products, the DVD is available for the cumulative update, and for SaaS, it's already there. Next in queue is on December 3rd and 4th. There is a free conference, BC Tech Talk. If you haven't registered, go ahead. There are great people presenting. I kind of forgot to submit my session, but there are great content about OAuth and other Azure and Business Central services. So if you haven't registered, go ahead and register. It's on December 3rd and 4th. Next in line is, as I was talking to Steve, is Dynamics Con coming up on March 16 to 18th, 2021. And they are still accepting presenters. So if you plan to present something, it's a time where you can go ahead and submit your idea, and then it gets voted by the community, and then top sessions are selected. The good thing is that if you are first time presenter, I guess, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a 25% reservation of your slot being selected rather than one who is already presenting. And
I
yeah, go ahead.
I actually hadn't heard that, but I know they are very interested in new speakers.
Yeah, I saw it on the website that
Okay.
you now need to choose how many time you have presented, not only on Dynamics Con but in journal.
Oh,
And
nice.
then there is an, I guess I read it on website, there is 25% reservation for new presenters, which is pretty good.
Very cool. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
And then one last update is NavTech Days. The old NavTech Days is kind of renamed now. It's called as BC NavTech Days 2021. Let's see when it happens. Dates are not yet announced. Uh, Last week, hackathon completed on Business Center, which was available on the website. We did participated, but because of an emergency, I was not able to kind of be available for presenting my solution. But I'll surely submit it later, or write an article about it. But there were cool ideas on their website. So if you haven't seen them, go ahead and watch the ideas page where people submitted what kind of topics they want people to write on codingforbc.com. So when I get time, I'll surely try to write all these extensions whenever I'll have time. But there were, I guess, 13 ideas, and I was working on this one, calendar view in Business Central, which was pretty cool, which require OAuth and things like that. Yeah, go ahead, visit it if you are looking for some challenges while writing code. There are, good scenarios that are required in Business Central. Okay, now coming back to the normal question, where do I register? Here's the link. You go there, this page get updated every week, if you are doing that week or not, and you can just go and register there. Now let's start with the questions that I had, and then we'll open it for discussion. The first question was from Dinesh, and this is how to change standard report in Business Central on SaaS. We cannot change standard report object as we don't have Cal development environment where we copy standard reports and change ID. Okay, so I don't see Dinesh here, I guess, but maybe he'll hear the recording later. But Dinesh, if you are using Dockers for development for your customers, then in your uh, drive there should be a folder called BC Artifact Cache. And like I have a BC 17.1 sandbox image on my machine. So inside this, you will see base application. This will not be extracted for you, but you can extract it from here. And this is all the source code for the base Microsoft object. The only catch here is that if you are looking for a report, you will have to look from the report name. The old nav style of looking from numbers is kind of not possible. So if you are looking for, let's say, sales code, look for that, and you will find the RDLC file and also the report file somewhere in the same folder like this. So this is the sales code report that you can always open with code, and if you want you can kind of renumber that and then save as. It's kind of save as that you can do and then use it. So when I open it, I'll see something like this, and you can always copy this file, put it on your on your extension, change the number, and then you need to get the associated RDL file or RDLC file for that report. In this case, this is the file name. So if you copy these two files into your extension and then renumber this report ID, that's all you need to do, and you will be able to change the whatever the data set or the design as you wanted. If you just want to change the layout part, you can use something as custom report layout in Business Central. And let me open my Business Central environment. So if you just have to change the report layout, you can always go to a page called report layout or custom report layout. In this area, there are some default world layout are built by Microsoft, but you can also have a RDLC layout. So just to pick a number, let's say I need to change a layout for 10076. That's, I guess, sales invoice US, which is not there. Okay, so let me search from caption. So any report in the list, if you just want to change the design of that report, let's pick 10076. You can say insert RDLC or insert Word, whatever layout you want to build. Click OK, and you will see a new entry here for that report, which is called as copy of build and layout. So I'll say sales code custom. Once this copy is done, you can always come here and edit or export the layout, which will come with the data set. So when I do a export layout, I'll get the RDL, and this is the standard Microsoft sales code design that will get open on my screen with the data set like this. If you have to change something like colors, field placement on existing data set, you can do all that thing, and then you can close it, upload the layout here, and that gets stored for 10076. Once you are done, you'll have to change that into one more place, which is report layout selection. At this point, you'll have to define for which company, let's say Cronus USA, and then you can filter it out for the report that you want, like in this case 10076. And then by default, the system will print the built-in layout, which is from Microsoft. But if you want a custom layout, you can change it here. And then you can choose the layout that we just created. So now whenever a user runs a request to run a sales code report, system will actually first check here that is there a custom layout. And if yes, then system will print that design rather than the standard Microsoft design. But this way you cannot change any uh, data set. You cannot do any data set changes on your report. You can just change the the layout of the report if required. Hope that makes sense. And if not, please feel free to add another question, and we'll surely talk about it next time. Otherwise, next is from Shahid, and I don't know Shahid is here or not. Shahid is here.
Yeah, after a long time.
Yeah. Sahid, your question was how to use base calendar and define weekends and holiday, and how to find working days in a month or from a given date range. Okay, so mm base calendars, what I'll do is I'll share the Microsoft link, which is pretty simple how to set up base calendars into Microsoft. I'll figure it out and send you the link. But other than that, for the base calendar, what you can do is we are on which company? Let me switch to the Cronus where the data will be there. Okay. So once you are in the company, and this is same as in NAV and Business Central, you can look for base calendars. Once you come into base calendar in NAV, maybe you'll get something, but otherwise you can create a new calendar. And the cool part is that if you have existing calendars, you can check here that where that calendar has been used. So these are the areas in the system where the calendar need to be defined if required, which is on the company. And this will help you in calculating your shipment dates based on when you're working and not working, locations, customers, vendor, if you have to set those. So for just for the demo, I'll set it on company, but I'll create a calendar. Let's say test calendar. Now, once the calendar is set, you'll see all the days are right now set as working. Non-working is set to be false. So to set non-working based on the region and where you are, you can always click on action, function, maintain base calendar changes. Once you do that, you see an option to choose what type of holidays you want to decide on your calendar. So like let's just for the demo, I'm saying that weekly I want Saturday to be holiday, and also weekly I want Sunday to be holiday. So these 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, will always be marked as non-working. And just to take an example that annually, if there is a particular day, like you know, like December 25th is Christmas, so you can say that okay, every year this is holiday for my company. So annual recurring, you can do and set holidays based on your region. Like if I'm in US, I might use Christmas. Maybe in India, you'll put Diwali, and in your country, you may put some specific holiday. Once you are done with that, you can close this, go back one step, come back, and you'll see that the calendar is updated with holidays, which you have defined. Once you have defined this, the other thing and the bare minimum is to set it on your company information. That this is my calendar. So when you come here, I guess in the payment tabs, it was there.
Shipping.
No, shipping.
In
Yeah.
shipping.
Right. In shipping, you can select which calendar you are using, and you can have multiple calendars if you want. Once you have done that, all your date calculation fields, like when the shipment will go out, when you will actually receive things, system will consider this calendar calculation and non-working days while calculating those date fields. So, Shahid, does that make sense?
No, yeah, till that actually is fine, setting up calendar. But my problem is a bit different because when I'm calculating the, I mean, working and non-working day or holidays using the, code unit, maybe calendar management. There is
Mm-hmm.
several functions. One is that check status, something like that. It's not returning any, any information. Either it is, I'm passing a date, but it's not returning it is, working or non-working day. So
Okay.
I was unable to, execute the actual effect.
Okay. So what I've done is, as in I knew it and it hardly took my very less time. It's a little bit change in Business Central, but just for an example, there is a page, okay, where I'm requesting the start date and the end date that you want. Okay.
Yes.
Once you are there, and let me know if I have to zoom in, and I'll zoom in. Normally, it doesn't look good without zoom. So I'm requesting the start date and end date from the user. And then in the result, I'm displaying how many days were there in between those days, and how many working days were there, and how many non-working days was there between those two dates that you have provided. And then there is an action to actually calculate those, which then calls a code unit with those values. So when we go into the code unit, this is just a check for validating everything is correct or not. But the summary is here. If you come here, you need to set the source of a calendar entry, which in my case, I'm using company information as we just set. Okay. So it takes the calendar entry from the company information, the calendar detail. Then it calculates that is it a non-working day, and there is a function to calculate is non-working days, non-working day. And if it is a non-working day, it's increasing the non-working day, and then at the end it'll return you how many working days and how many non-working days are there. And it's in the same code unit as you were saying, calendar management. Does that make sense?
Sort of till now actually is very fine, but I don't know why it's not inserting, because I check in the database table as well, in SQL, for the after changing these setups like what you did, there is no entry, for all the weekdays or all the,
It's it
there is no
it's
entry
it's a
in my
temporary
case.
table. It's a temporary table. The calendar,
Mhm.
the whole calendar engine runs on a temporary table. So you'll never see an entry, but just for your example, um, what was the page name? I forgot. Let me see. See that page name? Working days. Okay. If I come here and I choose a start date, let's say 16th, okay, which is a Monday, I guess. Yes. And then from Monday to coming Sunday. And then I say how many days are there and how many non-working days. The code that I just showed you. It does calculate that there are 7 days, out of which two are non-working day, which is Saturday and Sunday, and working days are 5. But if I go and mark one more day in my calendar in between these days as non-working, and let me do it from here so that it makes it easier. Or it's not annual recurring, so I'll just set it for 11/16. I guess that was easy. I should have done it there, but okay. Okay, so 11/12 11:16. Okay, so let's put Thursday as a holiday, and I'll say it's a testing holiday. Now when I run this code again, this custom again, the non-working days should increase to 3 and the working days should reduce to 4. So if you are looking behind the scene about the data into the table, it'll never get loaded because that view is generated from a system table and which all works on a temporary design. Does that make sense, Syed?
Yeah, I will test. Actually, I wasted almost 2 days, but I was unable to generate the things you did.
Yeah, it's just one line of code, as I was showing you, it's a non-working day. And it's in
Mhm.
Business Central, it requires a date that you want to test, and then the calendar change event, which get loaded using this line called set source. This function loads that custom calendar change, which is actually again a temporary kind of table. So it fills the source during the process. It doesn't store it. It actually fills it during that time. So always check how standard Microsoft is doing it, and then you'll understand how you need to kind of handle that thing. Okay.
My version is Business Central 14. Is there any? Uh, same thing will work, right?
I haven't checked in Business Central 14, but I'll put that code into my GitHub, and you can surely try it out,
Okay,
and
okay,
check if that working or not. More or less,
okay,
it should. But if it doesn't, then it might have minor changes required.
okay. I will check and come to you surely.
And I'll in the recording I'll put the link of the base Microsoft setup for calendar management, and you can use that if you haven't done that.
Sure.
Okay, next up we have is how to run adjust cost entries and post cost to GL to job queue, or should I say task scheduler. I don't see the person who requested it in the meeting, but let's have a look on it. So just to understand, and I don't know the version, but just to understand how adjust cost entry work is, if you look at adjust cost item entries, you only get this enable if it is enable on your inventory setup. I guess that's what it is. Inventory setup. Yeah, so the post cost to GL automatic goes. If this is enabled, then when you run this report, you get this post cost to GL on. Otherwise, if I now run adjust cost inventories, I'll see that I cannot change it. So the second part of the question, which was about with post cost to GL, which is here, you'll have to enable it on your inventory setup. If it is not, and just maybe just for the uh, bad job time while you're running it. Now, the second part of the question, or the first part of the question, is how you run it from the job queue. So it's, if you don't use automatic cost post to GL on your inventory setup, then you might have to write a code unit which temporarily will enable this, run your report, and then disable it again. Because it has implications on performance, because if this is enabled, then every time you post a transaction, system try to adjust the cost automatically. So if you don't have this enable on your customer environment or on your environment, then you might have to write a code unit which will first modify the inventory setup and enable this, then run your adjust cost report, and then come back and disable it again, automatic cost posting. If you have it enabled, then it's just setting up that job queue used with that report. So it's adjust cost. I love to get the report number so that it becomes easier for me. And for the report, it doesn't show you. Okay. So let's go to job queue entries. And you can always create a new report with, and this is super cool with Business Central 17, that you can actually search here now. Okay, once that is done, and this is Business Central, I don't know which version you're using, but if you have to set some filter in Business Central, you can actually set those. So if I want to run it from this item to this item only, sorry, should go and select the first one again, and then dot till here. Or if there is a category filter, I can apply that. Enable this, click OK, and this is non-processing only. You just set the recurrence the way you want it, and you just start it. So in that way, it'll start running at your defined time. But yeah, if there is any other question how to create that code unit, let me know. I'll surely can write that. It's not that big of a code unit that you'll have to write. Okay, moving ahead, we have a question from Pushkar called how to handle customized field in data upgrade from NAV to BC on premises as well as a cloud hosted environment. So in the data upgrade, there are different options that different partners and different customers have used in past, while Microsoft didn't kind of plan for it. But if you have to upgrade your data with your custom field data into the tables, Microsoft actually have data migration path and data migration steps to Business Central that you can follow based on from whichever version you're coming from. And that's kind of available on MSDN. Let me search if I can find that. Okay. I data upgrade. Let me see if I find that. Okay. So this is Business Central. Can come here, upgrading to 14, and then supported part to Business Central release. Okay. So this is kind of the overview of from 15, 16, 17, and 18. You can upgrade directly to Business Central 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, and BC 13. You can upgrade to BC 14, and from BC 14 till now, till BC 17, you can upgrade from 14 to 15, 16, or 17, which is available now. And here are the steps based on the version. So if you're planning to go to 2020 wave 2, first you need to upgrade to Business Central 14 as you do in NAV. And then at this point in the data upgrade, there are different options. And the different options are these: from an unmodified cal environment, which means that you don't have any customization on your Business Central 14 CAL environment. If you have customization, then there is a different process which is here from version 14 cal to uh, Business Central 17. It's a little bit longer step, but there is a path which is defined, and you can follow these steps and upgrade your data with the custom field in extension. But just make sure that all your custom field should be part of the extension that you're building for Business Central. And next is from Tanya, file import or export over API web services. And Tanya is here, I guess.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Tanya. So can you elaborate what is this file export or import via APIs?
Actually, I wanted to, via web service or any API, any file, I wanted to get into NAV. Any
File.
attached, and yeah, any file, any type of file that can be an image, that can be a PDF, that can be a text, that can be anything. So over the API into NAV, Business Central, NAV or Business Central, any of it, and I wanted to get it attached to any of the records, maybe sales, customer, purchase order, anything. So, can you guide me any way to do that? And of course, whatever and the parameters am I receiving from over the API would be in base 64 string.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So they will be on base 64 string, and we are talking about which version?
NAV 2018.
Now 2018. Okay, so there are different ways of handling this, but one of the simplest way would be that you use a shared storage or maybe Azure storage to kind of temporarily store the file. Okay, and whenever your API or web service calls nav or business central at that point, will actually send that URL of that shared storage where that file is stored.
Okay.
Once you have the path where the file is stored from your CAL or AL code, you can eventually download that file and then kind of import it into the blob wherever you want. So
So
like,
basically, over the
go ahead.
API, I need to get to one common place.
No, so what I'm saying is, let's say you have a customer picture that need to come into nav from an external entity.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the first step is to get that image uploaded in a place where it can be accessible from nav or business central. And then your web service call or
Mm-hmm.
API call actually sends the address or the path of that file, that it is on this Azure storage or in the shared space or is in OneDrive, wherever it is. Once you get that call into your nav or business central, you'll always get the primary key of that record as well as the image file or the PDF file path.
Mm-hmm.
You can pull that image and import into your blob or media fields. That's one way. And I know there is a way with what you said about
Base
uh,
64.
s- yeah, but then I'm not sure about it that it will be enabled on nav 2018
Mm-hmm.
code.64. That does work in business central, but I'm not sure about nav 2018 that will work or not.
The code unit, the base 64.
No, not actually the code unit, but the accept request with that with that thing. And
All.
I remember seeing whose video? I guess it was AJ Kaufman. I guess I'll have to check, but I saw a video where you can actually use that code.64 to kind of attach or import things. Because it does convert that file and then it can pass it from API. So I'll check and I'll let you know. I didn't get the context of the question while I was reading this.
All right. No problem.
So if I find something, I'll surely add it into the recording, and then you
Yep.
can, once it gets uploaded on YouTube.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead. This is from Jay Banerjee, and I guess you are here. I have a Dynamics NAV 2016 with new fields in multiple table, new code unit, modified existing code unit, new pages, and a bunch of new reports. What to do to upgrade to 2019 Wave 2? Is advisable to make extension for all above before upgrading? And if yes, then how can I do to extension without affecting the existing data? Um, so yes, as in you will have to create the extension for all these customs, all these customs objects, and uh, convert them to extensions. And you can see my screen right now, or stop sharing.
We can see your document screen, like not the questions which you.
So,
Hey, Jay Banerjee, what you're seeing right now on your screen?
Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, Saurabh.
Good evening. You see the question that you had on the
No,
screen?
no, no. Actually, not.
Let me
Only.
just stop and share. Okay, maybe it's an internet issue. Okay, let me know when you can see it now.
No, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, I have seen it. So,
Yes, so you will have to create your extension first before you start doing anything. Okay.
okay,
Uh, all your new objects, either they are code unit, tables, or pages, you need to have them part of an extension or reports.
mm,
Uh, all
yeah,
the base Microsoft objects which are modified, they should be into using events and subscription should be all that code should be placed into the subscriber code units in your Dynamics NAV or Business Central 14 CAL version.
okay. So first we convert it within BC to 14 version. Then after that, it will transfer into the BC 2019 Web 2. Is it
Right,
correct?
right. So first, in any case, you'll have to upgrade to Business Central 14. You don't have to go live there, but as a part of the merging effort, you'll have to kind of first merge them into the Business Central 14, as I was showing a minute ago on this, on the earlier question. Once your code base and your data is on Business Central 14, then from Business Central 14, you can go to Business Central 17 or even to SaaS if you want.
Okay.
But
But
that's prerequisite.
Indian localization is not there in Business Central 14. So what can we do?
So for India, you'll have the clarity by next year once they release the product. Microsoft will surely have a plan of. I know that India last version is now 2016,
Yes.
uh, but they will have a plan how they will upgrade your data. I'm pretty sure by next year. But till then, any customs on the base, you should try to event those code out into subscriber code unit in 2016 because
Oh,
2016 did supported events and subscription.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, got your point. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of a plan for the future as next year when Microsoft releases, and that's what I guess I heard this year directions virtual that India is in plan for next year. So when that happens, you should have less work to do when that actually becomes reality.
Okay. Okay, got your point. Hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving ahead, I guess this should be the last question. I hope. Let me see. This is again from Shahid. How to use C hash code in 365 Business Central and how to configure it to use assembly. Um, Shahid, what is the actual intent of using C hash code? Maybe I can answer you better if I know the intent. And Shahid, if you are speaking, you're mute.
Sorry. C sharp code in like to include the C sharp code in Business Central.
What you actually want to achieve with that? Let's
I
maybe
like to
come.
call some database functions. Like actually, I was facing some query issue. So I like to use some views from SQL Server in AL using C sharp code.
And why you are going that route? Because even if you can achieve it some way or the other, and that that's kind of my concern is that'll not be possible in the SaaS version.
Yeah, I know. But some functions I needed actually. But I used alternatively using query and calling the query, but I'm not that much happy.
Okay, then if you want to go that route, then you can actually call SQL views using the linked object in nav, right? You don't have to go she hash route. What I'm saying, if you just have to view some data, you can
Mhm.
create a table with the same name as the view is called in SQL and set the property as linked object, and it will pull the data as it is from the view, just the read only data.
Mhm.
Okay, so there is a property in Dynamics NAV that if you create a table, you can actually set a object called linked object, and then you need to kind of give the same name and the field name as it is in the view. And when you run that table, you will actually see the data from the view. But the field name and the table name should exactly match to the view name in SQL. If you just have to read the view,
Mhm.
so you don't have to go to the C hash route or any other route, you can just use the linked object property. And with that, you'll be able to read the view that is created in SQL.
Can you repeat? Yeah, I didn't get it.
So when you create, you can actually create a table in nav,
Mhm.
okay, and call it, let's say, I'm using a random number, let's say my view, and the my view name should be the same name of the view that you have in SQL,
Mhm.
in the same capital or a small letter, whatever you have used. And then the my view table should be a linked object. This is a property called linked object, linked object. Once you have done that, then all the field that you have in your view, let's say A, B, and C, and D, of type code, you need to have the same field name as it is in the view.
Mhm.
And once you do that, and the view is attached, mapped to the same database, and you run this table, you'll be able to see that data in your Dynamics NAV environment.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
then I can easily loop and other things, everything I can do
Right.
that.
You can't modify it because it's a view, but
Yeah.
you can surely, check that data if you want.
Yeah. It's an alternative I can.
Okay. So that was the last question for today. And let's, I guess, start from top to bottom if you guys have any other questions. Uh, or maybe from bottom to top. Oh, Kiran have a question who already raised the hand. Hey, Kiran. And
Hi, sir.
yeah, I said,
Uh, Sir, can I ask a question?
go ahead.
Actually, sir, I'm doing the report for export to Excel by using Excel buffer table.
Okay.
Yes, I have already developed the report, but the problem is Excel buffer table have changed most of the functions as compared to previous versions. So I need a table, Excel sheet, cells border. So I was tried from last 2 days, but not getting any solution.
Which version we are talking about?
BC14 on premise version.
BC14 on premise version. And you just need borders. That's it.
Yes, yes. I just need Excel cells borders, and
But
then
that should be same as in, I don't know from which version you're coming from, but if I, let's just for the, just for the example, if I create a procedure and I add a variable of Excel buff of record Excel buffer, and I do Excel buff dot add column, you'll see that the add column already have parameters which are what is the value that you want to print in the column, which is the value. Then the value that you're printing, is it a formula? You can say yes or no. The comment text if you want. Then there is a is bold, that means you want to bold that value. Italics, you want to underline that or not. Number format and cell type option. Now you are missing the border.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
You need borders on all the cell or just on the header?
No, means all the sale or sometimes for particular sale. I
Okay.
tried for this is underline function also, but it's only give me
The line under
bottom part.
that. Yeah. Right.
Yes, yes. So for
Okay.
top, left, and right, not find any solution.
Okay. You're talking about. Let me just check. Excel buffer borders.
I have one link. Can I send you here?
But that's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm not sure that I'll have to check otherwise. But there's an article where I talked about how you can kind of set the color fonts and color.
Yeah,
Okay,
actually,
like this.
this post I was already check.
Okay, so if you
But
look at some place here where I have written this font code, maybe there is something which can help you in this, in this particular .NET library that Microsoft have. Maybe it's not font, but if you see here, it just says at this point is underlined. It says that borders item on the edge bottom, right? If
yes,
you check that boolean, it says that only edge bottom, and maybe there are other options here to kind of do it everywhere.
but sir, problem is what here is a variable XL worksheet and dot range, but Excel worksheet variable is not available in our VC Excel buffer table, and it's .NET type also. I don't know, so
Yeah,
that's
so
why.
this is also .NET. I guess this is 2016 where I've written it. I'm pretty sure which version it is. 2013 R2. Okay, so I might have to check it, but yeah, the .NET actually replaces that COM add-on. Okay, and if it is available here, then it should be there. I just check how Microsoft is handling the underlying situation in that code. Okay, and
Okay.
let's see that if let me see if I can do it here right now. Okay, Excel buffer. But yeah, just try to kind of start eliminating these kind of changes. Otherwise, you will have problems later. So it's default bold, italic, underline, cell color, right? And let me see if there is a decorator for that. Worksheet writer dot default. Okay, it says bold. Oh, sorry. Book writer. Bold cell, underline. So one of these, and that's what I'll have to search if you want me to. But otherwise, one of these should be a kind of a box decorator. So this one is bold, italic, underline, cell decorator, and then there should be some other decorator which you can use. So
Okay.
just look for these options. This is BC14 which I'm showing you. One of these options should fulfill that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Anything else, Kiran?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Steve, I saw your hand go up and down, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I in the context of Business Central SaaS, working with VS Code, is there any type of standard or convention for project naming? I ask because I come from the .NET world, and we would use namespaces, and we would have conventions for solutions where we'd name it, say, customer dot product dot solution, or customer dot product dot library, or there was a general naming convention for those solutions. VS Code is a little different because it seems like the project name is just the folder it's in. Does it really matter what I call that, or is everything really defined within that folder? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I did discuss it internally, I guess 2 weeks ago, because even within the folder, these naming conventions from Microsoft keep on changing. This has been
Right.
changed
Yes.
4 times, 5 times in last 2 years or something like that.
Yep.
And uh, the kind of the conclusion from the discussion is there is no best practice or the method that has been kind of in place from Microsoft right now. And as far as the uh, kind of the project name, it doesn't make much difference to start with,
Okay. So
and
like
there is right now no standards.
in
That's
this
kind of,
example on your screen, working
yeah,
days. So I understand like workingdays.codeunit.al. There are certain discussions about how those files should
yeah,
be named. And
yeah,
then your app.json controls your app name. So Saurav Diani underscore calendar working days, et cetera. That creates your app file.
yeah.
And I guess my question is like the folder is AL project 9.
Yes.
It's that folder name is kind of meaningless, right? It's just your
Yeah,
name for
right.
you to recognize. It doesn't affect anything in the project, right?
Yes, it doesn't.
Okay.
And the cool thing is that because it gets into source control, so I normally use the default name that is generated by the system. And because it goes to my source control, I don't have to worry about what local directory that I use to kind
Right.
of have this project in place, because my app.json have everything, that who's the publisher
Yep.
and
Yep.
what is the name, and based on that it generates this name, and the version.
Cool. Yep. Yeah. I mean, in full Visual Studio and .NET, everything is like the
Yes.
naming is much more
Right.
intricate and intertwined in everything. But it seems with VS Code, it's less important. So
I hope that all will come into picture, not
yeah.
today, but surely it will come into picture, because um, when you when there is a partner change from a customer, you actually see completely different style of partners
Yep.
doing different thing, and it's
Yep.
super confusing.
Yep.
The other day,
Yes.
what happened was we kind of got a project from another partner, and they, as an in our Git, what we do is, our baseline app has, the source folder. Inside that there is a page folder, there is a code unit folder, and everything that we use is all caps down, like code unit, page, and all.
All
uh,
lowercase.
yeah, all lowercase, because that makes sense. So that's easier to kind of follow. So we had a folder like this in our src folder,
Hmm.
and the partner that actually was building the extension for them earlier actually used a folder something like this.
Yep.
Instead of r small, they were using r big.
Yep.
Now when we try to compile their report, the report actually had the uh, file name embedded into it, when it's a hard coding of the
Yep.
name of the file,
Yep.
and it was always pointing to this folder. So whenever we will build our solution, it was actually creating a file inside this, and the team was not able to see anything inside this.
Yes. Yep. It
So
makes total sense.
yeah,
Yep.
there should be some standards. I'm pretty sure they'll figure it out sooner than later, which everybody should follow, so that everybody works in the same, same style, and it's easier for customer to switch partners if they need, and everybody understand everybody's style.
Right. Right. And on the file naming, I think I can't remember exactly how it's done. It was you just name the file like test.al, and when you go to check it in or commit it through Git, it renames it. And I don't know if that's Waldo's CRS extension,
I
but I think
guess
it's
it's Volvo CRS. It
yeah,
doesn't
it
do by
auto
default,
renames it
right?
and it
Right.
applies a convention and that's fine with me because I don't want to have to think about how to name the file, but I totally understand how the naming has changed. So yeah.
Yeah, and
Cool.
then
Okay,
the
thank you.
other part is that if you use the rule set, it actually warns you while you're writing it. It warns you that, oh, this should not be the name. It
Yes.
understands that three digits of prefixes, and then it says that the file name should be working days. I can't use anything else. I cannot say abc.page.al.
Right,
The rule
right.
set will warn me.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, anyone else have any questions? No? Okay, before we leave, which is the coolest feature, and whosoever used it, I don't know who all have used it, you have seen in Business Central 17.1? Anything that you think was wow, that I was kind of waiting for it, kind of thing. Nobody used it.
I haven't even looked at the list of changes yet. I
Okay.
think I retweeted it, but I got the email about the list as well, but I haven't even looked. I haven't had time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so one thing that I'll kind of warn every developer here. There's something called as feature management that's introduced with Business Central 17.1 or 17, which is actually kind of having features pre-enabled if you want on your tenant or in your local environment uh, before they actually get released. So like all these features are going to be released in future versions like 18, 19, or 20 even. And you can actually enable them, and there is no other option for a specific user. You can either do it for all users or none. Now remember this, that if you enable any of these features, you first need to test all your extension before you actually enable it, because any dependency to legacy feature will kind of, you can't roll it back. It's kind of enable one time and then choose that method. Like just this example of enhanced email capabilities, which kind of replaces the old legacy SMTP behavior of sending email and gives you a more flexible email system. But if you have an extension, or if your customer is using an extension which maybe have a dependency on the SMTP, verify that on a test environment before actually enabling it on your customer tenant. So like if you enable it, like if I do it now here, I have already gone through the process. Otherwise it'll actually warn me that, do you want to do this or not? So if I, yeah, so like this, after you enable this feature, you cannot turn it off. This is because it's kind of data update at the same time while it is happening. So make sure to check this before you actually enable things on your customer tenant. So like with this enhanced email capabilities, the whole kind of, I feel like the whole outlook is inside Business Central now. So if you have to send an email, you actually don't have to go out and send an email. You can actually kind of do everything from here.
So can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Is this been installed as an extension, published as an extension?
Feature management?
Yeah.
No, it's not an extension.
Okay, so it's going to change the base objects and base data.
It's a flexible switch in the code, I guess, that if you enable it, the code routine will change based on how you do it.
Okay, that's the reason we're not unable to.
Yeah, disable it once you
Okay.
enabled it, kind of thing. So
Okay.
yeah, this is kind of the whole outlook thing inside Business Central now. Everything from formatting to the whole message screen. You can even choose who is from, which was not possible in the earlier version. And the cool part that I guess Manish requested one day is you can have unlimited attachment that you want to add. You don't have to limit it to one or two or three. You can say that I want to attach 5 files, and you can actually do that. The cool part is if you don't want to send it, you can keep it as your draft, like in your Outlook. And there are so many things with this email improvement, like there is a email scenario, there is email account, so you just need to set up things, a email account and things like that. Once you're done with that, and there are different options, as you can see now: Office 365, SMTP if you want to use the old way, and other ways, and this is completely extensible. So if you have to add a new feature into the email one, you can do everything just by using the enums and things that are added into the system. And then they have something called as scenarios, where you can decide which email will be used when different scenarios are mapped. Like whenever a sales invoice send request is called, which email you want to use, or sales code, or different for everything. It's up to you, or you can group them. So that, there are super cool things at this point, at least on the email side. If you are one of those guys who do majority of APIs, this is one of the great enhancement on the API side, which is, uh, till previous versions, there was a table behind the scene called integration records, which used to store every API transaction into it. And if you enable this, and you should, it will stop doing that, which will increase the performance of that API, plus reduce the disk space that is used by that table, because now it will use the system fields which are available in every table: created date, time, modified date, time, and modified by. So instead of recording that data into the integration record, it will actually fetch it from that record itself. So yeah, these are my two favorites at this point. I'm still doing things with others, but yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any suggestions for next week that we can talk about? If I know it, I'll surely talk about it. But these days I'm working on a OAuth example. If I still have it here, yeah, I'm working on this example of OAuth, which is also part of Business Central 17. So yeah, let's see how much I can go inside that. But okay, anything else, guys?
No, Saurav.
Okay. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, feel free to add that into the same link, and I'll surely try to cover that into next meeting. If you think you can be presented, even if you don't think, I would recommend go ahead and submit a topic on Dynamics Con, because that's open for everybody. Go ahead, and they have kind of a reservation for new presenters. So go to the screen, click on submit your session, give it your details, and this is what I was saying. The reservation of 25% for the conference agenda for new speakers. So if you are a new speaker, never spoken before this, it's your chance. Go ahead, and this is the option that I was talking about, Steve. Experience on you. So yeah, go ahead, talk about it, and then we'll see you in some other sessions someday. Okay. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your
Thank you.
weekend, and
Yep.
see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saurav.
Bye.